Hello, everybody. This is Gort. Let me flip me around. Here I am. How y'all doing? Blessings, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to hit up on two different topics. This is the most current video that you're going to be seeing. And yes, in this one I am shaved. Sorry. So we're going to go over two different topics. Very short kind of topics, but we're going to go over them nonetheless. So that way you got more information in your arsenal that you can use when it comes to the plants. Okay, first one. I'm going to flip you back around here. Okay. These lovely seedlings that God has allowed to grow and be very vibrantly green. I mean, yes, we have to take for granted there was one that didn't make it. Well, there was a couple, and this is proof of it. So you have to give both sides to the story. I have them in categories here. These are from Stanley Plum seeds. They're seedlings that I started from seed. Now the process for these was 3 months in the refrigerator in a plastic bag with a moist paper towel. And then I had to crack them, which these Stanley plums actually cracked pretty easily because the shell was not as thick as other plums are. I got these from a person. Okay, this one right here and that one right there are not plums. I believe those are apples. I don't know how they got in there. Guys, you're supposed to be over here with the apples. They're like, no, we want to be with the plums. Anyways, and then after I cracked them, I put them back in the paper bag, a paper towel that's moist and lightly, and then I let them sprout. It took about 2 to 3 weeks, and they sprout up, and then I put them in dirt. And once they sprouted up in the dirt, they've been in this dirt ever since. And I started them in the dirt on January 25th of this year, actually, 2022. So those are the Stanley Plum seedlings. I don't know if you'll get Stanley Plum from these. You got to remember, cross-pollination from the previous year has a big effect on all of these plants, no matter what kind of plant they are. These three, as you can tell, I have labeled are apples. These came from a yellow apple, something like a golden delicious or probably like a ginger gold if I had to guess. I don't know the type of apple it came from. That actually won't play any effect on it because these could be any genetic form of apple out there. Because again, cross-pollination, you don't know what you're going to get. You got to wait at least 10 years to know what you're going to get. Next over, these 5, this one, the lack of chlorophyll, meaning it doesn't take in the green, it takes in, it takes in every color but, white, where all of these take in every color but green, and it reflects green. This one is reflecting the white, which means it's lacking the chlorophyll, the energy it needs. So all this growth was off of the seed itself because there's stored energy in the seed. And these are all sweet cherry from sweet cherry pits. And as you can tell, the cherries are the most diversified out of all 3 different kinds of fruit here, because we got some that have beautiful leaves that have been established beautifully. And then we got these 2. And I know what you're all thinking, well, they're part of the stone family, the stone fruit family, which they are. And these 2, more or less, not so much this one, but this one with that long leaf that you're seeing there, even though it was from a sweet cherry pit, I believe is more on the borderline of a peach. It does happen. This has been known to happen if you plant it by seed, especially from a grocery store. These came from a local orchard, the apples, and then these came from a person who I will not mention, but it was an honor to get them from them because this came off their trees. So a little bit safer with the genetics there. These, again, apples, random. We know it's apple. We know that it will give off an apple. That much we do know. We don't know what variety or how cold hardy it is. And then the stone fruit, there's such a diversity because even though they're cherry, that one could be a peach, even though it came from a sweet cherry. And you're like, how? Again, cross-pollination plays a huge effect on some kinds of fruit. And this one's also cherry. So I planted these from seed. And again, the cherries are the hardest one for me to plant because unlike these guys, which are also part of the stone fruit family, they are the plums. Plums and cherries come out of the same family, technically, by default. So these four had the thin shells, very easy to crack. These four, most of the seed was in there, but the shell was just thin enough, but yet thick enough that if you hit it the wrong way, the whole thing would go. So out of like a handful that I soaked up there for what seemed to be 2 months in the open air, in the plastic bag syndrome, only about 12 to 7 made it through the process of being cracked. And out of that process, only 5 actually survived. And out of that survival rate, it looks like only 4 are vitally good and 1's dying. So again, the chances for cherry, on like these guys over here, is just so... And then out of the 4, it looks like one of the cherries is a peach, especially with that curled leaf. So you go from a handful to 3. You see the odds there, but that's the blessing in disguise, is that God allowed any of these to grow. So I'm thankful for that. So I wanted to show you what is the purpose for these. Well, these 3 I was gonna give to a person who gave me the apples. I was gonna say, here, have these 3 apple trees because, well, I grew them for you. So those 3 are automatically gone. But these guys I planted for a specific reason. And if the person doesn't take these 3 in the middle, they'll be part of that reason too. Rootstock. Because I don't know what the variety is, and I don't care to wait about 10 years. I mean, I have done it before. Rootstock. Within 2 years, if I can get these thick enough, I can grow onto these. Even though these may not be Stanley plum, but come from a Stanley plum seed, I can graft onto these rootstocks Stanley plum. Or perhaps like a blue plum. They're rootstocks by seed, so they're an atypical rootstock. Again, the same thing with cherry and possibly a peach right there. I can graft onto them, but I can only graft, I believe, sweet cherry. I made sure to label that. I can only graft sweet cherry scion wood onto the sweet cherries. Sour cherry is a whole different ball game. The apple, you can graft any sort of apple. I've grown apple before. Apple is one of the easiest things to graft over. It's one of the easiest things to grow. It grows kind of like a weed once it starts. But everything in the world loves to eat the apple, besides humans. And you're like, what do you mean? Rabbits, deer, rodents, blue jays. Shall I go on? You all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, So this was the first topic. And what I did, I put them in the soil. I labeled when I put them in the soil what variety, what kind of fruit they are. Obviously not what variety, unless they came from a specific variety like these ones. These came from a Stanley plum, so I put Stanley plum seedling to show that they are a little bit more honed into the gene pool than the other ones per se. And again, I put sweet cherry so I would know that they're not a sour cherry, because there is a difference. You got to make sure of that. I didn't even need to put apple. I could have just put A. I could have put grows anywheres, does the best, God bless, but I put apple. I put them in here. I just washed this out. Even this guy, I try to give him the best chance of growing. I've had this happen oh so many times, especially with anything from the store. The orchard's a little bit better rates as far as growing and survival. It's lacking the chlorophyll, and it can't get the photosynthesis from the sunlight that it needs. So it's once the fuel for the seed is gone, the seedling itself will die. As you can tell, it's already dying. It's not unfortunate, because that was its destined place to be. That's how God chose it to be, obviously, because He allowed for it. But look for all the ones that did survive. Now that's a blessing as well. So either way, I'm trying to show you both sides of the story. You can mix them all up, because I love it. I actually put right on the cup what they are. So I can put a sweet cherry next to an apple, and I won't mix them up because they're all labeled. How nice is that? I'm going to be watching this guy. I'm pretty sure he's a, what do you call it there? A peach. That cherry actually looked very healthy. Wait a second. Yeah, that's the cherry. I had to look at it. Cherry. Okay, so these four are the cherries. Plus this guy. We're going to put him back in there. Give him the most amount of time to survive. I know, it's raising hope when you shouldn't, but I'm sorry. That's who I am. You're like, it's not going to make it, so why even... Because, again, that is who I am. I give the best... Well, that's who I try to be. I'm not always like that. I'm pretty sure that's an apple. Don't ask me how the apple got in with the... and you can clearly tell the difference. It looks like a plum. These guys look like plums. And somehow... look at that. Man, that looks just like a plum. I don't know how these apples got in... Pretty sure they're apples. It looks just like an apple. I've grown so many apples. I've worked with apples a lot in my life since I was like 14. Man, it looks like an apple. I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like an apple. Look at these two. The victors. But these two may have the worst time actually converting over to the outside, because I've done it before. They look great in here, but they're protected from all the elements. Out there, the ones that struggle the most will have probably the best chances of survival outside. Remember that. Okay, and you see, I just keep them here in the back room. They get indirect and direct sunlight throughout the day. Water them a little bit. Look at that. That's a plum. Look at him. Anywho. Okay, so that's the first topic. Now, switch back to me. Okay, the second topic. Are you ready for this? Rooting. I had to, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I had to touch up on the rooting. Well, get ready. Okay. Figs. I got 9 of them. The first 3 that you're seeing right here are Chicago Hardy. The second 3 right here are RBD, which is a sport of the Chicago Hardy, and the third three. Okay, this is hard to remember. That's a Verdele Violetta, which I believe is Italian fig. That's the improved brown turkey fig, and that's the Vista fig. Okay, try to keep up with that. I'm rooting these guys, and it looks like they're taking pretty well. That one, look at that. It's decided I'm not going to have a, what do you call it, leaf come out first. I'm going to have a fig come out first. Look at that. Anywho, hopefully God allows those to root. Right here, we got blueberries. Jerseys and Patriots, high bush blueberries that I'm trying to root up. Trying to experiment with these for a person I know so we can find the best way to root these up. These are in the back, black mission figs, which I think one out of the three of them may take. I have a bunch of the figs up front as well. So there you go. This is the white Arabic fig. I know, right? Isn't that just a beautiful fig? These three are hydrangeas. They're pink hydrangeas. We just clipped them not too long ago. They are in coco coir. I'm experimenting with coco coir for the first time. By the way, I love it. Love it. Love the coco coir. I've been using sphagnum peat moss for everything else, but these three, those two and this one, coco coir. It's from the cocoa husk. And it's a renewable, it's a alternative resource for sphagnum peat moss. I love it. Love the cocoa coir. These are Blacktarian, my third round with these guys and girls. And the first two rounds, first one was like a year or two ago and didn't make it because I didn't know what I was doing. Second round lasted a little bit longer, but nothing rooted up. Third round, I'm getting stuff coming. I mean, these three right in a row are coming up. But I know top end growth is not good. The reason I show you the top end growth is because what I do, I missed them. I used to have them on bottom heat, but this batch, no bottom heat. Not, I started those out in bottom heat, but no bottom heat. Bottom heat speeds up the process of decaying the cuttings. You're like, well, aren't these scions? Because normally you do a bunch of stuff with grafting. No, these are cuttings. And again, the fact that I'm getting growth and it's growing very slow after like 2 or 3 weeks of being in there. Mind you, these are Blacktarian cherries. Which is a hardwood tree, means that these guys and girls take a lot longer to root up than your average fig, or we'll get into the willow. By the way, that's my biggest cutting I've ever tried to root up to date. Yeah. So there it is. All the way through. There you go. Sorry, the dog was barking. Okay. So yeah, these are some of the hardest things to root up. They'll last about 250 years if they do root up. And the person who gave me the third batch gave me the first two batches. So thank you to you. What I did is I did a dip and grow solution, 6 to 8 seconds in the dip and grow hormone solution. On top of that, I slit. I did not wedge on both sides. And I put them in the straight peat moss from the bale. And I watered it once, and every other time that I see it getting dry every couple of days, that's it. There's no bottom heat. I'm almost at the point where bottom heat destroys it. So no bottom heat. I just let it naturally do its thing. You've been wanting to see that guy. He's the biggest one to date. I got him a couple of weeks ago. Funny story. The person's like, uh, I've been looking at this person's house because the tree fell last spring and it was a willow tree. So they cut it up because the root system partially came out of the ground. And it was huge. It was huge. I mean, it would take like 20 of me to fill this tree. And so, that whole summer, this past summer, I was looking at it and I go, man, isn't that? And it started to grow these branches. This is just one branch that I took. And so finally, a couple weeks ago, I got the gumption. It must have been in February when I was doing the pruning for the apples. I go up to the house. I knock on the door. Nobody's there. So I go to the front door. I knock in there. I'm like, hi, I'm Gordon. I'm like, is that your willow tree over there? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, can I buy a branch off you? And they're like, take it. Take it. Because, it's a willow. Willows are, besides like your figs and your elderberries, are so easily rootable. It's like not even funny. And this thing, after like 2 weeks of being dormant, it decides to wake up. But I am more than confident because, well, oh yeah. Yeah, I see it's starting to get its roots. And again, this isn't sphagnum peat moss. I used a little bit of hormone in 3. I did not have to use any hormones, by the way, on these willows. And even the figs over there, they don't need hormones. It helps, especially, but the bigger the cutting like this, or even like those thicker ones back there, the more stored energy, the longer they'll last, the more chances you have of putting roots on the bottom end. The thinner the cutting, the less chances. These I didn't put any hormone on. You know what? We're going to do this. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's a willow for you. Got a willow tree. Who wants it? Obviously, I'd let those roots grow another inch. They're already at 3/4 of an inch. But for now, it may break the root system. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it back in there. I plopped. These are corkscrews and pussy willows. And even the pussy willows, like this guy. Yeah, look at that. See right there? He's starting to grow a root. And I just had to pay for shipping for these guys. So, hey, what do? I leave them right there. That's how easily willows root up. So that's what I'm doing back here. That's the black Deuterians. That's the main thing I wanted to show you and tell you about the process of how I did those. And the guy who I got them from, this is the 3rd batch from the person, said there may be some Reliance peach in there. I'm pretty sure that these 2 right here are the Reliance peach. But then again, I don't know. So anyways. But I have some more to show you. Those were the figs back there. But we got rooty figs. God allowed for. This is the white Arabic fig. Got this from a nursery. They shipped it to me from California, I believe, or Oregon or Washington State, somewhere around there. And I labeled right on the pot what it is. It's a white Arabic fig, if I'm pronouncing that right. This is... Okay, here goes the dorkiness. This is the first successful, I've had other ones root up, successful plant ever for me to root up. That God allowed me to root up, so it's kind of special. It's kind of special. Here, I'll show you. God I can't take any credit. I didn't use any hormones on this. I had it in spag and peat moss in a 1 gallon Ziploc bag up on the shelf where it could get plenty of heat for a couple of weeks. I washed it even. The instructions said to wash it. So I know it's a fig. Figs are easy to root up, but that's flat that and the roots are like that. Oh my, you should have seen me. No, actually, no, wait, that wasn't the first successful thing to root up. These were. These were, I believe it was the red currants. These are currants. I got these to root up. They're looking a little but they'll do just fine. That's a kiwi right there. These are black mission figs, which they're starting to pop out, and I know that these have roots. I got one right here as well. This one has roots for sure. That one right there has roots. So again, and then these I got from a person, and I rooted this little guy up. He's a desert king. This big guy's a desert king. The small one, I did a division, which is where you divide it on the root system. And this is an LSU purple coming from that one right there, which is an LSU purple. And this guy is an LSU purple fig. Okay. Sorry about that. That's nothing. That's a triple crown blackberry. Don't even know why. Different topic. Stop looking. Don't look. No, but I have been getting into the rooting. It's a great hobby, and you can make some money off it throughout the winter months, and it fills up your time pretty well. These are black mission figs, so obviously, look at that. Look at those guys. Aren't they the cutest little things you ever did see? Ah, God did that too. So I wanted to show you all that so you would have encouragement. And this lines right up with what I've been doing all the way from these guys to the cuttings, because these guys, I'm using the natural resources in the sense of food that we buy from the market. I'm using the seeds. I'm going through the cycles, and I'm sprouting them. Or God's allowing me, I should say. And that's using the resource of the food itself and what it can provide. I forgot the stove on. Oh my gosh. I forgot the stove on. Okay. Anyways. I said gosh. Okay. Just clarifying that. So I'm using the natural resources. The figs are not natural to my area. I'm trying to get varieties that are cold hardy enough to go into the soil. So for the winter months, because it can get like negative 25 below, which we hit 2 or 3 times this year in January. Whoo! Got cold in January of 2022, that is. And last year we hit negative 23, and that was also in January, I believe. I don't know how I know that off the top of my head. But the thing is with the figs, I'm trying to learn the rooting process so I can then go through and root up things that are easily rootable and usable that are already on the land. So that way I'm not going to the, what do you call them there? The nurseries or the supplier of these plants. I can do it myself. On top of already knowing from, God teaching me through other people, firsthand experience, I am already learned in and learning every day in grafting, fruit tree care, training fruit trees. Now I can have, this I've been doing. I've been doing stuff like this since I was a kid. anybody can do any of this, by the way. Just ask God to help you. He'll help you. God Most High. And now, if I can get, hold of the propagation of rooting under my belt via God, teaching me through other people, which I've done a lot of research, a lot of hours just watching other people, a lot of failed attempts, and it's frustrating, but in the end, it's worth it. And it's exciting because, well, here, I'll show you. Because when you try and you don't get anywhere good, right? Then God blesses you with something like this. I can only imagine where God's going to bring this next. Maybe he'll let it die, or maybe he'll let it grow as big as those bushes right there. I don't know. I'm really happy that he allowed me to, root that up. Because that's the beginning cycle. Once I get the rooting underway, and as I learn, I'm trying to freely, through this channel, show all of you. So that nothing is not known to you. So that way you know everything that I know, at least. And Jesus loves you. Obviously, got to say that because it's true. He really does. And he wants you. Definitely got to say that. He wanted me and he got me young at 13. So he wants you too. And he wants to use you for amazing and great things. So remember that. And God loves you most of all because God sent Jesus to die on the cross for our sins. Which is true. And I believe that. And he rose from the dead on the third day and ascended to heaven after 40 days. Sorry, had to put that in there. Had to. Because it's true and that's what I believe. I'm not trying to force that upon anybody. I want to let you know that right now. I'm just stating what I believe. You believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe. And how does that pertain to all of these fruit trees? Because it's life. This is life. Using the resources that you have. Trying to learn multiple skills so you can survive in this life. It's hard. You got bills and everything else you got to pay for, right? Exactly. Electrical, gas, fuel bills. It goes on and on. But that's the agony. Just like each one of these had to go through suffering, we got to go through suffering, right? And believe me, time after time I'd have failures with more than just the plants. That's only the beginning of it. But I wanted to encourage you with the plants and not stray off topic. Sorry about that. Yeah. Peace out, Gordon.